Merry Christmas, sisters.
Apocalypse, apocalypse, we caused it with our dumbness.
Let's go! We found them!
A miracle today in Durnsville, Indiana. 4 women rescued from an underground apocalypse cult.
It's all still here. I'm not going back. What? I'm staying here.
Who is this?
I'm your new roommate. I will be very comfortable in here.
You got a secret.
I am one of the Indiana Mole women.
From the news.
I spent 15 years in that bunker eating beans out of a Florida Marlins cap. I just want to be a normal person. I'm having candy for dinner. Scram, you stupid hoe! Hide it! Dancing is about butts now.
It is, girl.
I've got a job.
You'll need to be here by 6 every morning to get Buckley up for school. Then get me up by 10, but don't wake me up. You want a water?
No.
Like a raging bull. You better be gunning like a cannonball. I don't want to hear you say a thing at all.
Please tell me that you're normal.
Oh, I'm very normal. I've had everything normal happen to me.
You yell in your sleep. You bite my nails. And we still don't know why you're afraid of Velcro.
What's your plan? You have maybe 4 years of that youthful glow left. After that, you'll be stuck marrying a primary care physician or one of those off-brand Kennedys.
Life beats you up. You can either curl up in a ball and die, or you can stand up and say, we're different, and you can't break us.
You got my attention.
Hey, Red, you're making me wish I was those jeans.
Well, I wish I was your yellow hat.
If you want to try me on.
Look out, New York. Nothing can stop us now.
Don't you keep me waiting.
Hi.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And I have to start off by saying congrats on your Emmy nomination. So excited.
Thank you. What the fuck? I was like, I got a what? I was so shocked. It was exciting.
What was your reaction like when you first found out?
Well, I had 2 shots of tequila because... No, it's true. Because I took a sleeping pill the night before because I didn't want to wake up too much earlier, out than the announcements were going to be made. And of course, I woke up at like 3 hours to go, so I cleaned my apartment, and it looked fierce. And then they were like, oh, the Emmy nominations are going to announce them, and then there's just like the lead categories, which was really obnoxious. And then so I told my best friend who came over to sit with me or comfort me or whatever the outcome or the emotion was going to be, which I think I was going to be fine, and that's the honest truth, either way. But so I was like, this is taking too long, so I went downstairs and let my dog out and then poured some tequila and came back upstairs, gave her a wine, gave myself 2. And literally, as soon as we were down again, my phone rang, and it was members from my team telling me that I was nominated for an Emmy, and then I hung up on them because I was so shocked. That's the truth.
Especially because yours wasn't announced on the actual announcement, so you probably just got a call.
Yeah, and it's funny because my boyfriend was trying to call while I was on the phone with my publicist, and I clicked over and I was like, I have to call you back. And she was in the middle of telling me, what the outcome was. I think he was trying to tell me because he already knew because he kept refreshing things. So I could have gotten the information a little earlier had I been a little more patient, but it didn't quite work out.
At least you had some tequila.
Yeah,
right.
I know, which is very important.
And what's so exciting is that Robert Carlock and Tina Fey wrote this part with you in mind.
That's true. That's kind of unheard of, and or these days at least. But it was really sweet. I mean, I saw my manager was like, when's the last time you spoke with Tina? And I was like, well, since when I rapped 30 Rock. I mean, it's not like we go and hang out at the local pub. I mean, and she's like, well, she sent me a screenshot of the breakdown, and it said, seeking the role of Titus, and had all these things about my life. And so I was like, either I'm about to get a job or I'm about to sue somebody.
What kind of things about your life were on it?
Well, I don't know. I'm convinced that Tina has my apartment bugged because we talk about many things, but we don't talk a lot about my personal life. And I was living in a basement apartment at the time, and I was living in Harlem. I had never said those Harlem. And I had never told her that. So I'm like, how is this even a thing? Like, it just was so fascinating. And even now, more and more things about my past show up, down to the type of church I went to. And like, I'm not joking, y'all. It's really creepy. And so I was just flattered that she thought I was interesting enough to write about. I mean, they make going to work so fun. And so I'm learning so much from them. You know, they're such giants, and they're so thorough with their comedy, and it's so clean and so well thought out that, you know, I don't know, I love it. It's so fun. I love it.
So when you did sign on, did you help with the creation of the character, or was it all laid out?
Sure I did. I mean, there are a lot of isms that I just decided that's who he was. I'm a lot unlike him. I'm a lot shyer, and I actually don't enjoy a lot of attention. I'm very considerate of people's feelings, almost to a fault. So, you know, a lot of Titus with one S, a lot of his isms are closer to me 10 years ago when I first got to New York City.
Interesting.
And as I've aged, I've grown less cantankerous and a little more, I don't know, a little more introverted, I think. Fame is weird. It's a strange little beast. So I don't know, I kind of like shy away from it a little bit. It's really funny.
Yeah, so what has that been like now that you're so well known, like walking down the street?
Well, pardon me, for the most part, all part, I will say, people have been so warm and excited and lovely and supportive, and I feel so lucky to have such a supportive community who have taken to the show, and you know, this sort of, I don't want to say cult following. It certainly has a much larger, massive appeal than that, but I've not encountered anyone who's been less than enthusiastic about it, and it's fun to watch people express their enjoyment for the show to me without me giving like a yes or I have time to stand here and watch or listen to you sing Pinot Noir, you know. But I fucking love it. I just think it's so cool, and I'm just making certain to be as present as I possibly can be, because this is a Cinderella story if there ever was one. So it's awesome.
I bet. And you come from Broadway, so this is your first, you know, full TV series.
Come from the world of Broadway. What did you just ask me?
What is that?
As I break it into the song.
No, you can dance all
Not
you
even
like.
listening. What'd you ask me?
What was that transition like from the stage to an actual TV series?
Well, I certainly didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know where the camera was or how wide the angle was or any of that shit. And I relied heavily on, you know, with theater, you get an immediate response. You know exactly, you know where you stand. There's a bizarre collective personality that the audience takes on when they're watching. And what's even more bizarre is, depending on the day, if it's a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, if it's sunny outside, if it rained, if it's a matinee or if it's an evening show. All of these things, culminate in this this personality that the audience takes on, and they decide without agreeing with one another, but yet agreeing with one another, how they are going to perceive your personality, what you're offering up on stage. With film, at best, the most immediate reaction you can get is from the crew. And if you see shoulders, or not, or them trying to suppress their laughter, or if Tina comes up and goes, do it again, But I've learned, she's taught me to trust a different muscle now. And I now see it as I'm doing it, depending on the shot. I can see how it's going to be pieced together. And so now I understand, is this making sense? Now I understand how to do it. Do you know what I mean? So things go up much faster because we don't have to do take after take after take because I get it the first time around. So yeah, I don't know.
What was the experience of working with her on 30 Rock versus this?
Oh God, I was horrified. And I almost didn't get that job, y'all. I almost didn't go. Because I was late and I was a little, in my ignorance, well, first of all, I hadn't seen 30 Rock before I auditioned for it, which I don't recommend you do that if you're an actor. That could turn out really poorly. I got up late. I lived in Midtown on 47th Street between 8th and 9th, and 30 Rock is not far from me, but I was late to my audition. And then I hadn't even bothered to memorize the one line that I had. Really telling on myself here. And I got to 30 Rock and went through several entrances, as you know that there are several, and waltzed up to, I call him the gatekeeper, but the elevators require the little thing to get you through. And I was like, do you know which floor casting on? He's like, there's several castings, So he was not having me, and I was not having him not having me. So I was just like, and I sauntered back the way I came. And by this point, I was a good 35, 40 minutes past past where I was supposed to be. And so I thought, well, certainly they think I'm being flippant at this point, and that even if I showed up, I wouldn't get this. So I had decided that I was going to take my black ass back home and continue on with the nothingness that I was doing. And on my way out, a colleague who I'd done a Broadway show with waltzes past me, who didn't recognize me because she was in her zone, which I'm so glad she was, because I didn't feel like talking. And I saw her go to the security desk. Didn't know that you had to go to the security desk. Thank God I brought my ID. And so I sort of trailed her or whatever. And to this day, she has no idea. She is the reason that I got to the audition, subsequently got 30 Rock, subsequently got Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I should probably tell her.
And got an Emmy nomination, so you could thank her if you win.
An Emmy nomination.
Did you take anything from Dafwan in Titus, or was that inspired anything?
No, Dafwan is like a cartoon character, or at least I think. There's no real stakes. Very two-dimensional. Titus is more of a human being, I think, and particularly as you'll see this season, has more and more real moments of genuine human emotion. He snaps back into his thing that he has created for himself rather quickly, because I think he's afraid to appear vulnerable for too long a period of time, because that it's so close to who he used to be, which we will catch a glimpse into. But No, I don't. I think the only thing I carried over was knowing the rhythm and the sort of the cadences in terms of how Robert and Tina write. I think that's one of the few things I brought with me. But other than that, Dufan is somewhere roaming the cities of New York doing something. I don't know what he's doing.
And Dufan also has a wine. He's Dufan.
Dufan.
There's a little wine similarity.
You know, how do you think about that? Dufan has Dufan and Titus has Pinot Noir. So, you know, maybe whatever I do after Unbreakable, he'll probably have a wine too. I should have my own winery, don't you think? Just.
And one of my favorite parts of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt for your character is the werewolf episode, where.
Oh God, getting into that makeup was so tedious.
It
took so long. That was a very interesting episode that I had a little bit of an aversion to when I first read it, just because I knew what was going to be required of it. But I just thought, but once we filmed it and, you know, it premiered, I was so happy that we did it, given our current social climate here in America that we insist on prolonging and supporting. It was a lovely commentary by way of comedy on one of the more unfortunate of circumstances that we seem to live with every day. And I love Tina and Robert for that. And there will be more of that to highlight just how genuinely asinine some of the ideology and the way some of us think and how some of us truly oppress and spoil what could be better days and what hopefully will be better days to come for this country.
Yeah. I love that about the show, that there's so much diversity with racial diversity and even LGBT characters.
Yeah.
And Titus even has an episode where he has to go to a straight coach.
Yeah.
Which is, so there's a little bit of everything, but also.
Stupid. I love it now.
But was that important to you at all when taking on this show and just how diverse it was compared to other series?
I don't know that I thought about that. What I certainly expected was nothing less than what you just described. But the particulars and the compartmentalizations, I didn't think about that because 30 Rock was littered with that type of commentary, that type of point of view. And if I know anything about Tina and Robert and how they feel about the world, I know that it'll show up in some form or fashion in their, as it relates to their writing. What was important to me was not to play the gay, black, sassy, queenie friend. That was not interesting to me. That is not interesting to me. And that is so boring and it's so condescending. You know, let's just throw diversity, casting a bone. You know, here you go. Someone showed up in the show that doesn't look like everything else and has no real importance other than the fact that someone showed up in the show that doesn't look like anyone else. And it was very clear that this was not going to be that. And one of the things that I love about Titus is that he is more like every man than anyone else in that show. He's broke. He is a minority within a minority. He can't seem to get up on his feet. He can't seem to gather a piece of this American dream that people keep talking about that I don't know really exists. And he is chasing a dream where people who look like him and who are his size can't seem to catch a break. And if they do, the mandate is that they do this one little thing, which is sing the big rousing gospel number in the fucking show, and then you leave and the rest of the show is about someone else. And he represents more of the part of America that is in pursuit of and can't seem to catch a break than most anyone else. You know, Ms. Kemper's role, Kimmy, you know, they have a mole fund so that at least she came back into the world with $15,000. So I just think, you know, for any would-be side eye to what Tina and Robert and myself have created where Titus is concerned, there needs to be some serious reevaluation because I think we've done an exemplary job of giving voice to many voiceless people.
It's wonderful. Going into the new season, since before you guys filmed it with in mind that it would be on NBC, but now...
What was the start of your sentence? Sorry.
Going into this new season, now that you know that it's going to be on Netflix, since before it was initially filmed with NBC in mind, what is that platform giving you guys access to, or how are you going to take advantage of the Netflix platform?
Nothing. What I will say about that is the show ended up on Netflix. I think that's a great fit. I think the tonality of it is such that Netflix offers a little more room to stretch out and to be who you are. And since it is subscription-based, you know, the consumer can pick and choose what they want to watch. I mean, even when you are paying Time Warner, you can still pick and choose what you want to watch. However, you know, there are different guidelines, different parameters for Netflix and, say, NBC. But I think ultimately the home that we ended up with is one that fosters the continued tonality and personality and development of the show. But while we were filming because we thought we were going to be on NBC, but I knew when I said Ode to Black Penis, I was like, So, you know, NBC is a wonderful place, as is Netflix.
Right. Speaking of that, Pinot Noir, I read that it was mostly improvised lines that they were throwing at you and that you were coming up with. Is that right?
The whole thing was fucking made up. The whole thing. I made up the melody. They were throwing out different things at me, and we did it all over New York City. We might have even done it in this building, but it was pretty crazy and kind of terrifying. I'm not an improviser. Like all those divas went to like Second City is what it's called, and Upright Citizens Brigade. I went to school for music. So, you know, no acting classes, none of that stuff. So I don't make up stuff well on the spot. Tell me what you want me to say, and I can figure out how best to say it, but don't give me a scenario and say go, because that is where then I'm like, you know. So when they were just throwing it out, I was like a little panicked. But Tina and Robert, in their all-knowingness, we're just like, just go with it, and you know, and we'll worry about the outcome. And the outcome turned out far better than I could have ever dreamed. But yes, most of it was made up.
It worked out, though.
It worked out.
And the first season has so many great cameos from so many different actors. Yeah. Do you have any dream cameos that you'd want to see?
Yes. I want Carol Burnett to be on it. And I think Julianne Moore, in this odd way, would be such a perfect fit in that world. Maybe as Ellie's mom, I don't know.
I could see that, yeah.
Also, Deborah Wilson, is that her name, from Mad TV?
Oh, yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Oh, God, she is so funny. I would love for her to be on there. Maybe like my aunt or my mom or something like that. But like I just think she's brilliant and so strange. and so strangely unique. And I've already told Tina and Robert I want her on it, so maybe one day.
Okay, maybe it'll happen. Fingers crossed.
Maybe.
And I think we can break away to audience questions now.
Hi. Love you so much. So you're working with Carol Kane on the show. Yeah. What is it like working with her, and like, does she, with her portfolio? I mean, is there a lot that you're taking from
with her? What?
Her portfolio,
sure.
like her previous portfolio, and like what she.
Carol is very. She's very focused. She can't have a lot of noise around her, like a lot of. Give her a couple things and let her execute that. Don't fluster her, but she schools in a way that there aren't many of hers left. Do you know what I mean? Who came up and learned the trade at a time where the very nature of filming was different, quite literally, the nature of it, how they did it. But more than what I learned from her in terms of the trade, how graceful she is off camera. And she called me a couple days ago to see how I was doing with the recent recognition, because she knows me to be the way I described myself earlier. And just the care in her voice and the genuine if you need anything or just to talk. And I was like, wow, like that's a classy woman. I mean, like her job is to just show up and do what she's supposed to do, but rather has taken on another role, that of mentor, unsolicited, out of the genuine goodness of her heart. That schooled me more than anything.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So first I just wanted to say that this past year has been really hard. I've actually been in and out of the hospital with the disease. I've been really depressed.
Do me a favor and start over and slow down.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So pretty much this past year, I've been in and out of the hospital with the serious disease, and I've just been really depressed and down. And then when Kimmy Schmidt came out, really just this show about all these people who pretty much are like really down, but then things get really optimistic and happy. So that just helped me through a lot. And what I was wondering was if any of that optimism that ever happened in the show ever maybe affected you, and if I could have an autograph.
Of course you could have an autograph. How about that? Has the optimism affected me off the show, you mean? Oh, should I go sit back down, or is this okay? Go see, oh, good, okay, I'm gonna sit down. Jonah, thank you for that question, and so happy you're here. And your set of circumstances are the very reason we want to make people laugh. Yeah, you know, one of the things that I said to Ellie was that her character, Kimmy, is like an adult Annie. You know the musical Annie? The song will come out tomorrow. And what I found was, let me pause that. I was in a very dark place before this show came around, and I was ready to leave the business and had accepted a teaching job at Marymount Manhattan, I believe it's called, and was there for one day, and I quit because I realized ultimately I'll be doing the students a disservice because I would not be able to give them the type of commitment that their tenure there at college deserved and would require. And I was not yet done with what I felt like I was supposed to be doing in the world. And there is a scripture that says, have faith the size of a mustard seed, which sometimes is very hard to have when the circumstances seem so bleak, if not opaque. And when my manager said that this project was happening, and this was before I had signed on, I had decided that there is a possibility of things happening all around me, for me, during my bleak times that I'm not aware of, that requires me to stay in the game and push through so that I can meet them where they meet me. Do you understand what I mean? So bravo to you for pushing through. Yeah? You're welcome.
You participated in the Kimmy Schmidt soundtrack, and I wanted to hear a little bit more about that. And would you ever consider a career in singing, Pinot Noir worldwide?
What was it about the soundtrack you said, darling?
You participated in the soundtrack.
Oh, I see. I didn't know we had a soundtrack. Well, yeah, I mean, when I moved to New York, I came very close several times and attempted a career in music. I do have an album out. It's called Comfortable. You can get it on iTunes. Turn this camera back around. It's called Comfortable. Yes, this is the answer to your question.
This is going to be our last question over there.
You spoke so beautifully about...
Stand up, you're on camera.
Oh, goodness. Okay. You spoke so beautifully about the space to express, the voices of marginalized identities in our community. I was just wondering, have you found the space to do that more in the theater or in film and television?
Ooh. I got to be real careful how I answer this, okay? So far, it has been in film. But that is not to discredit what the journey was before film, or the marginalized thinking of those who created the thing that they thought I should be doing and would only allow me to do. When you know better, you do better. To whom much is given, much is required. Now when I go back into the theater, I will handpick visionaries who will assist me in creating the very thing that you just spoke to. Otherwise, I won't do it. Because, unfortunately, we all now have an obligation not just to exorcise our demons through the way of art, but to be mindful of its possible perception and the responsibility we have to educate without being heavy-handed so that it is still art and not just an academic study. So I've been fortunate enough to work with people who are the latter, who I admire and who are visionaries and who understand human nature's who understands humans' sort of innate, accidental desire to compartmentalize. We can't help it sometimes. And some of us need a little assistance in learning how to free up that space that we might all stretch out and see each other both for what we are, who we are, and who we can be as a result of you being you unhinged. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
You're welcome so much.